And now, live from the Steele Twins recording studio in beautiful Traverse City, Michigan, and from Casa del Freytown in Taylor, Michigan, it's the Cannonball. It's the fabulous one. It's the Outside Blitz.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Outside Blitz. I am your host, the fabulous one, Scotty Freytown, along with my co-host for the day, the Cannonball, Alex Steele. The bootleg better couldn't make it today. We are sans the bootleg better. He's got a little family business to take care of. But Alex, we are live and in the house. You're up there in the wonderful Traverse City, up there at Steele Twins Gaming Studio. I miss it up there already. I've been missing it for several weeks now.
You too. And guy on the potatoes coming in hot on Twitch, knocked me over, called me Jenga. That's unique.
Yeah, we are back. We've got some news around the league. Alex, since the schedule dropped last week, we did say we were going to be jumping in and doing our season predictors for the next several weeks. And we are starting. You get to do the honors with the very first one. You're going to be doing the very first 2026-27 season predictor. You're going to be taking it all the way to crowning your predicted Super Bowl champion. So I hope you're excited for that. We've got some stuff going on around the league, though. I mean, there's some signings happening. There's some big news going on, including some stadium news, believe it or not. So, yeah, we're going to be jumping into that. So let's talk about it. The big news around the league right now, the big one, we got to talk about it. The Rams, they make the move. They go out and sign the reigning, defending MVP Matt Stafford to a one-year, $55 million extension. His current deal was set to run through the 2026 season. So, it keeps him with the team through 2027. He will be around for a hot minute, but it means he's with the team at least the next 2 years, it seems. So they're going to let Ty Simpson develop it seems, behind him, which I think is the right thing to do. It's the smart move, and here we are. So,
we could all see this coming. I mean, to be fair, you're exactly right. It is the smart move because that's how you build up talent properly in the NFL. We've seen too many times where the first round, the overall number one overall pick is he's drafted too soon. He starts too soon. Doesn't get a chance to learn.
Yep.
I mean, there are some instances where the talent is there and you don't have to worry about it. But more often than not, you want your guy to learn behind your veteran, to understand the offense, to understand your scheme, to understand the nuances of your plays. Because if your quarterback is in tune with the rest of the offense that's already there, then you have the opportunity to really make waves going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's rare, sometimes every year you get like a Joe Burrow that pops off or, something along those lines. You get a guy who really turns it up a little bit, right? But, and Justin Herbert was another example when he came into the league, he went off. But you kind of see over the course of the years, and Tyler always put it best, the best quarterbacks sit. The best one, the best case in point would be Patrick Mahomes, because if you recall, he did sit behind Alex Smith. So, I mean, the best quarterbacks sit. And a lot of times you're right. Guys get drafted first round. They get drafted into a situation where maybe it's not the best situation. And then they wind up getting kind of thrown to the wolves there. And they wonder, oh man, why didn't this work out? Sometimes it's just not the best thing to do. You draft a guy for a very bad situation, and now we're just like, well, I wonder why he's not turning a franchise around. Well, maybe you didn't have the offensive line for him, or maybe you didn't have the weapons for him. Maybe you didn't have the coach for him. Maybe you didn't have the right situation for that guy. So that's something that's very common, but they're doing the right thing. They're keeping Matt Stafford around for at least this year and next. So that'll tie him to the team through 2027. And it's $55 million a year. Realistically, even though it's $55 million a year, like based on the salary cap situation right now, this guy coming off an MVP season, it's actually not that bad of a deal given what's going on with the salary cap and how the salary cap's kind of catapulting itself toward 300 million and all these crazy numbers. Realistically, at this stage, that number's not that bad, especially over the short term, because it is a short-term deal. You got this year and you got next. So Matt Stafford, they're actually getting him on a little bit of a dime here, believe it or not, and he's still playing at an extremely high level. So I want to see if he can keep it up. But we talk about quarterbacks getting drafted to situations that might not be that good. Let's talk about this situation. The Cardinals and quarterback Jacoby Brissett are reportedly very far apart in their contract negotiations. Now, Brissett hasn't shown up for OTAs, but head coach Mike LaFleur, he says he's not overly concerned. Brissett, he did go 1-11 as a starter last year. But I got to think, like a guy that got drafted here, and we've brought him up on several occasions on this show over the draft situation. One's got to think that this opens the door a little bit for Carson Beck, does it not?
Yeah. So, I mean, why do you think they drafted a quarterback, and why did you think they drafted Carson Beck as late as they did? You do want to have your guy for the future in case something like this happens. But I mean, it is kind of looking like, if they can't ink a deal with Jacoby Brissett, we're going to have a rookie quarterback starting for the Arizona Cardinals. And given the fact that the Cardinals are still kind of in, mid-card to lower tier, I really don't think that's a really good starting point, even with Carson's starting experience, because he's been in college pretty much his whole life. But again, it's the NFL. I mean, at what point during his college career did he get primers on what it was going to be like in the big leagues? You have to ask yourself that question.
I mean, if you recall, I mean, Carson Beck, as much as, like Boots has called him Carson Beck up, and people have been very critical of Carson Beck throughout the draft process. A lot of folks have been. People were critical of him coming out of Miami. Oh, he can't win the big one. We heard that quite often. But he was very good at Georgia. He was very good this last year at the University of Miami. Whether or not we want to admit it or not, they had sort of this Cinderella run to the national championship. We kind of got to see that. So we kind of look at this Carson Beck situation. I view him as a guy that he could sort of take a possibility. So, I mean, but they're very far apart. It's like, how much do you expect? It's like, how much do you expect here? Beck said, or I'm sorry, that Jacoby Brissett set the world on fire last year. He wasn't bad. I mean, from a fantasy perspective, he wasn't bad. But I mean, was he great? You were 1-11. At the end of the day, you probably weren't that good. You were 1-11.
To be fair, not 100% Jacoby Brissett's fault. Arizona probably had one of the worst defenses in the NFL, if not the dirt worst. I mean, we know Dallas had the last passing defense, but overall, I mean, Carolina was an absolute sieve, and that Tennessee Titans game definitely showed that last year. I mean, it was one of the most comical things I've ever seen. So give credit where credit is due, or rather discredit. Because, Jacoby Brissett, he had 1-11 as a starter for the Arizona Cardinals. But, I mean, that defense, it needed some help. And we're not sure. I think they plugged up some holes in the draft, but I still have questions.
I have a lot of questions about the Cardinals moving forward. We're going to be discussing them a little bit more. There's Jacoby Brissett. I personally, I think he's playing with fire a little bit as far as his contract goes. If Carson Beck comes in and Carson Beck sets the world ablaze here, and Jacoby Brissett, he winds up losing his job in that situation. Well, you're running a risk of allowing this guy to come onto the field and take your job. That's basically what it is. You're going to play with fire. I don't know that Carson Beck is that good to take his job. Who knows? He might be. He could be the quarterback of the future in Arizona. We just don't know. There's a lot of a lot of unknowns as far as Carson Beck goes, but we're going to find out, and we'll see if the Cardinals and Brissett can come to an agreement. But Brissett does have 1 year left on his deal. It's a very about $1 million and 1.5 guaranteed. I think it's around in that range. So it's kind of a meh kind of contract. So I understand why he wants a raise. Another extent. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you're definitely not a starter in this league.
No.
I mean, you were basically a starter by proxy.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I think he might be relegating himself to the backup.
Yeah.
So, but that remains to be seen.
Yeah. One guy who also got an extension, Lions signed linebacker Jack Campbell to a 4-year, $81 million deal. Keeps him with the team through 2030. That's a hell of a contract. Hell of a good linebacker, former Butkus Award winner out of the University of Iowa, if I'm not mistaken. Hell of a player.
Correct.
Yeah. I
believe they got him in the second round.
First round in the 20s, in the first round, if I'm not mistaken. He was a first round guy. I liked Jack Campbell a lot. He was a late first round guy. Man, good does on the outside. They need to. The Lions were putting him on the outside, and he was struggling a little bit. He just needed to stay in the middle. And every time the leader of that team, he's the guy that's going to wind up taking over for now that Anzalone has departed the team and gone to Tampa Bay. He's going to be the guy that kind of leads that crew into the next into the future and the next wave for Detroit. And I'm totally here for it for the Lions. I think this is a really solid extension. But we talked about this when it comes to Detroit. They were going to have to sign some of these guys that they got in that draft class. You knew those guys as Brian Branches and they already signed Kirby Joseph to a deal. They were going to have to sign Jack Campbell to a deal. They were going to have to sign some of these guys, and they finally. Here's another one. They're going to have to get Laporta to a deal here pretty soon. So they're going to have to make some moves and lock guys down long term. And I don't know how much money they're going to have to go around. Lucky for the Lions, the cap is going up, but we're going to see how many of them they can lock in for the long term.
Absolutely. And again, this is a solid. It's a no-brainer for the Lions. I mean, you need a solid defensive leader. And to your point, now that Anzalone's out the door, Jack Campbell is your guy. He's the Lions guy. The Mike, the Will, the linebacker. I mean, there's not much. You took pretty much all the words out of my mouth. I mean, it's basically. But the question the question does remain though. Where are they going to be with the cap? Are they going to have to part ways with any superstars? We hope not. I certainly hope not as a Lions fan. But you do have to make moves. Will they be going to the trade block? Will they be going to free agency? Will they utilize the trade deadline to their advantage? I mean, Brad's 0 for 2 so far in my eyes. So he needs to step up in that situation. He needs to put forward a move that lets everybody in the league know we're doing this because we're winning. We can't just sit back and go, we're good, bro. We got the guys we need. Well, no, you don't.
Yeah. And
I honestly don't feel like they do.
And
not for a Super Bowl.
One thing that they did do, if you recall, when they lost Anzalone, they did go out and get Jimmy Rolder out of the University of Michigan, the linebacker in the 4th round. So they did go and get, sort of a replacement for Anzalone. And, the Lions, we were kind of laughing a little. You've got a lot of maize and blue on that defense. And I mean, it's a lot. You got Derek Moore, the edge rusher.
Of course, you got the edge rusher. You got Hutch.
Yeah, you got Hutch. You got Derek Moore. You got Aiden Hutchinson. You got Jimmy Rolder. I mean, you've got a lot of Michigan boys in that front 7. And it's like, okay, so you're shaping it. And there's a lot of familiarity there. And that's great. And they're going to go ahead, and Rolder is going to be the guy that they're going to try and mold into their new Anzalone type, which I think that's perfectly fine. I think he's going to fit well in that situation. Michigan is known for producing good defensive players. It wasn't a bad pickup. I think honestly, I think the Lions at some point thought that they were going to wind up getting the guy my guys got, Jake Golday, which I think would have been an excellent fit for Detroit. Honestly, Golday would have been, wow, what a fit. But they decided to get Derek Moore instead at number 44, which, I mean, hey, more power to them. They get themselves an edge. This is going to be one of those interesting things, but I think this Campbell signing is smart. Like you said, Mike linebacker. I think he's going to be your Mike. I think he's going to be the guy that's going to be leading your defense. Elsewhere around the division, the Bears mention of, and I'm kind of excited about him. The Bears go out and sign running back Salvon Ahmed to a 1-year deal. Former Miami Dolphin, if you recall, Ahmed comes in and actually did happen to get signed to a 1-year deal with the Bears. The Bears, they have reiterated that their Chicago stadium options have been quote unquote exhausted. And they are now turning their attention to the new stadium in Hammond, Indiana. So wouldn't you know it, the Hammond Grizzlies are about to become a thing. That is what I will refer to the Chicago Bears as moving forward. I refuse to call them the Chicago Bears. I will awfully Grizzly down there in Hammond. But that's what I want to refer to them as, is the Hammond Grizzlies.
Say what you side of the state of Illinois, and say what you want, but I mean, this team, as we'll talk about in my playoff predictor, I mean, they might make some moves. They might, they already got Dylan Tenneman, in the first round this year.
Yeah, the Bears, they had a really, first year under Ben Johnson last year. They made a nice little push, like you said, last year. I mean, getting really the truth of it. They were real close. And I remember you and myself and Tyler sitting there watching that game going, holy shit. I told you and Tyler, I said, look, don't count the Bears out. These are the cardiac Bears this year. These guys in the fourth quarter have been coming back left and right. And sure enough, they came roaring back, and it was like, oh boy, this is a game now. And Tyler won. He won some money on that, on me pointing that out. Because they came within a field goal. But the Bears, like you said, they made moves. They did a really great job in the draft. They really did. They really hammered the draft home. I was pretty proud of the Bears with not proud, but I was pretty happy for the Bears with how they drafted, and now here we are. They're looking strong. Watching them get Dylan Tenneman, which they definitely needed a safety over there. They needed some DBs, but secondary now. The defense looks strong. They've already got a good offensive playmakers. This is a terrifying team, and I said last year that they were going to take the division. And guess what? They took the division. And a lot of people told me I was nuts because I was like, look, Ben Johnson, he's got a lot of weapons over there. He's got a lot of playmakers. And that was my call from last year. Look, that was before the season started. When we did our playoff predictors, and I said the Chicago Bears are about to take the division, and everybody said, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're nuts. You're clueless. Okay. Bears took the division, and they dominated. It wasn't like, oh, hey, they barely took the. No. They beat the shit out of everybody and took the division. The only team they didn't beat in the division was Detroit, and look where Detroit wound up, dead last, right?
Even though they got swept by Detroit that last game, even I was saying, you know what? Even though Chicago did not beat Detroit last year, the fact of the matter is Ben Johnson showed up as the better head coach.
Yep.
Because clearly, by the time that second game came around, the Lions had a foot in the grave and another on a banana peel.
Yep.
I mean, they were already toast. They were already booking their tickets to Cancun. So, so as a Lions fan, I was incredibly disappointed, and I was equally disappointed in people who were like, yeah, we swept the Bears. Okay, did you make the playoffs? No. Okay, well then step aside, please. I mean, I want to celebrate with all of you, but at the same time, you have to understand what hand you've been dealt.
Yeah.
And you got dealt pretty badly last year.
Yeah, the Lions, them going back into the last place spot in the division last year was one of those things that was kind of interesting. Also, something I predicted going into. It was something I predicted. I had said the Lions were going to wind up in.
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
It's between them and the West, and really it's between them and the Rams and the Niners, really.
Yeah, and the Seahawks. Yeah.
When the Seahawks won the Super Bowl, so you can't count them.
Seahawks are the three. It's those three though. It's Niners, Seahawks, Rams. I think are those are the big heavies. And that's why the NFC West is kind of dominant right now in the NFC. But realistically, I think that I'm with you though on the Bears. I think they're going to make some waves this year going into the season, and we're going to jump into where you think the Bears are going to end up pretty shortly here. Elsewhere around that division, let's talk about my Minnesota Vikings. They're set to have a legitimate QB competition in training camp to crown their new starter between Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy. So I got to ask you, Alex, who wins out? Is it Kyler Murray or is it J.J. McCarthy? I am going very strongly with Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, Kyler Murray is a seasoned veteran. He understands. He's been there. He's the kind of guy that you would pick. You would sizz. I mean, he's certainly a guy to sit behind, though. Yeah. But if you've got it's not even horseshoes and hand grenades. I mean, it's Kyler Murray all day.
It's my thing. You're not winning anything with JJ McCarthy. You're just not. I've said it over and over again. And Boots has said it. It's been 2 seasons. We've sat here saying you are not winning anything with JJ McCarthy under the sun. For why J.J. McCarthy is and that these dropped catchable passes. Man, Kyler Murray's the better player, better throwing mechanics. He's got better touch on the ball. And when he gets a connection with a number one receiver, it really pops off. You just see a situation where think about what he could do with a guy like Justin Jefferson. Think about what he can do with a guy like, having Jefferson and Addison out there. Think about what he can do with having those two guys. And the offensive line will be healthy, which will be nice. You're going to get an additional offensive tackle in there in the mix out of Northwestern there, which I think that's just excellent. The Vikings have a real opportunity here. And Kevin O'Connell, one thing that he's really good at, and he has shown that he's really good at, is taking veteran quarterbacks who have been around for a hot minute, who are sort of have had their confidence shaken and turning them around. That's something that Kevin O'Connell is known for. He did it with Sam Darnold. He did it with Kirk Cousins. He's doing it and now he's going to try and do it with Kyler Murray. And I think that he's going to be successful in that endeavor.
So, okay, hot lightning round. What do you think the QB depth chart looks like? Because I'm taking a look at the list here. You got Kyler Murray, J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz, and Max Brosmer. And I have to believe that I'm going to try to read your mind, because I've been doing this podcast with you for about 5 years now, and I kind of have an understanding of where your brain goes. I mean, I can't nail it down, but I have to imagine it's Kyler Murray, Carson Wentz, Max Brosmer, and J.J. McCarthy.
So I like Brosmer a lot, but we saw how he performed last year, and it wasn't pretty.
I will say in Max Brosmer's defense, I mean, he's a rookie, and he didn't get a whole lot of opportunity to sit and learn.
Yeah.
He had to be thrown out there when they basically threw Carson Wentz to the wolves.
Yeah.
You remember that game?
Yeah.
Where the guy's arms hanging off.
Here's my thing. I think there's a reason why J.J. McCarthy, when J.J. was healthy, that they still put Carson Wentz in. And I think there's a reason, like they sat there and said, oh, JJ, JJ's hurt. JJ's still hurt. He's still not healthy. And then you see him over there on the sideline, and he looked just fine to me. And I'm like, nah, he looks healthy. It looks like they just wanted to start Carson. And it looks like they were just giving JJ, a reason to sit on the sideline. That's how it looked to me. And that's how it looked to a lot of Vikings fans. I think Carson Wentz is number 2 on the depth chart. I think JJ McCarthy is QB3. I think Brosmer will be considered the emergency quarterback at this stage. I'm not sold on McCarthy, but hey, it is what it is. We'll just kind of see where things go. But I do think Kyler Murray is QB1 for this Minnesota Vikings team come week 1, and I don't think it's going to be in dispute very long. Speaking of the Vikings stuff, let's talk about the Vikings GM. They've got interviews scheduled officially. So they are interviewing their current interim GM, Rob Brzezinski, who was the guy that executed the draft this year. They got the Bills assistant GM, Terrence Gray. They got the Rams assistant GM, John McKay, who I love. He's my favorite so far. Broncos assistant GM, Reed Burkhardt, and the Seahawks assistant GM, Nolan Teasley. All 5 of those guys, realistically, they've come from successful franchises. All 5 of them are guys that I would not mind having. I think of the bunch, my least favorite would be Terrence Gray out of the Bills, believe it or not. But if you look at the rest of them, all of them, I wouldn't be mad at any one of those picks. The Broncos have been very successful recently. The Rams, very successful recently. Seahawks, obviously the most recent Super Bowl winner. And then you got Brzezinski, who's been with the team forever. The big thing about Rob Brzezinski, and I think the reason the Vikings are sort of looking at this GM situation the way they are is because of the fact that they have a guy set up like Rob Brzezinski, who's been handling their salary cap forever. And so, like, if you're going to plug Rob Brzezinski into the GM position and he doesn't do well in that GM position, and then you fire him, well, now you don't have a cap guy. And he's been your cap guy forever. So, like, he's been the guy that's manipulated the cap for years to get you cap compliant for all these years. So are you really going to piss away your cap guy on this situation? It's a little of a rough situation. It's kind of tough. I think they're playing with fire there. I understand the apprehension about possibly, not wanting to make him your GM. So, it makes it a little interesting. The Vikings are going to have to explore that. But some good news for the Vikings is the really good news. The 2028 NFL Draft announced that it'll be hosted in Minneapolis, Minnesota this year. Or that year for 2020. Yeah, road trip 2028. And I'm already in where all these other players are in negotiations with their teams. I am currently in negotiations with my wife to drag her to Minnesota to go see the 2028 NFL Draft in Minneapolis. So that will be a good time. We are currently negotiating terms. So
Minneapolis. A lot of good things about it.
I have not been to Minnesota for several years. Last time I went there, it was when I was a professional wrestler, when I was still wrestling, and I had a show out there, and it was a great time. But that was the last time I had been to Minnesota. Beyond that, I haven't been there in a long time. So we're gonna wind up making our way out there. I'm trying to get out there sooner. Because I would love to get out, and believe it or not, and it's terrible to say because I'm just such a dad first, but with me being such a Viking super fan, I still have not seen a game at US Bank Stadium, which is just awful. With me being a Vikings fan for as long as I've been, so yeah.
I think the atmosphere alone would be completely worth it because you've seen the warm-ups on TV.
Oh yeah,
especially during big games where they got the guy walking out and banging on the drum. I mean, it's definitely something else.
Oh yeah, you gotta blowing the horn and all that. I mean, the whole skull chant. It's a great time. I wanna get out there. I wanna go and see the whole thing. So. I'm currently in negotiations with her also to go see a game at US Bank Stadium. So I've spent a long weekend out there. So we're going to see how that works out. But the NFL Draft 2028 will be in Minneapolis. Also, another one got announced, the Super Bowl for Super Bowl 64. That's been announced for Nashville, Tennessee in 2030. So the Super Bowl 64, that'll be at the new Tennessee Titans Stadium that's currently being built. So we're going to see the Super Bowl down there in Nashville. Everybody getting excited for that. So we got new stadiums getting built.
Yeah, that main drag in Nashville is going to be packed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's going to be wild down there. You know that, I mean, I can only imagine how crazy it's going to get down there in Nashville. You know.
Took a road trip down to Nashville a couple of years ago with my brother, the package Andrew Steele. And I mean, it was for our birthday week, you know, which is coming up.
Sure.
Which is why I won't be on the podcast 2 weeks from tonight. Mm-hmm. You know, I might call in, who knows, but when we went to Tennessee, you know, they had, you know, obviously they have that main strip and they got all the bars completely lining the streets. There's one on there's bars on the ground floor. There's bars on the top.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it's, and, you know, lights and everything and music. It's tremendous. That's why they call it Music City.
Yeah. It's going to be, it's almost comparable to, like New Orleans. It's like Mardi Gras down there in a way, you know, it's like, holy smokes, what is going on? But, yeah, we're going to see, how that works out for Tennessee, the Super Bowl. Very exciting stuff for them. Elsewhere, we've got other stuff going on. Let's talk about the New York Giants. They've got they signed their GM Joe Shea themselves, especially recently with the Jackson Dart pick. They went out and got themselves head coach John Harbaugh. They're kind of rebuilding that team. They found themselves Malik Neighbors. So here we are, the Giants. They go out and bring back their GM. I'm not mad at that at all. And also, they had some bad news though. Defensive lineman Roy Robertson Harris today, he went and tore his Achilles in OTAs. He's out for the year. So,
oh no!
Yeah, that's a thing. So Roy Robertson Harris, he will be out for the year. They just signed him in.
Yeah, listen, I mean, you need all the help you can get, and the fact that you're blowing cap on this signing here. I mean, granted, it's a situation that can be worked around, but I mean, still, I mean, this is not just something you want to see. You know, it's spring camp too. I mean, the season is still quite a ways away, but you know, as we've said multiple times on this show, an ACL tear can take up to 6 months to fully heal. And how long is an NFL season?
You know, some of his more rough years in the last couple of years, but, you know, before that, not terrible. In 2023, 2022, not bad. But, you know, his good years were more so in 2020 and 2019. 2018, he had a 72.3 PFF grade, which was extremely good. That was probably his best year. Came out of UTEP. But he's been around. He's been with the Bears. He's been with the Jags. He's been with the Seahawks. Now he's with the Giants. They just, like I said, signed him in free agency not too long ago. But Roy Robertson Harris, he'll be out for the year here. So I mean, that's a loss for them. I mean, he's a depth piece, but it's still, you don't want to be losing guys in OTAs. That's not good. This is the second guy they've lost in OTAs too. If you can recall, last episode they lost a rookie corner in OTAs as well, to a similar injury. So here we go. And I quote, very intentional. And there's a true quarterback battle. Okay, Alex, like there's a true quarterback battle.
I would go with Michael Penix.
Yeah.
I think, Tua, he's an injury liability. And it's not Tua's fault. It's the Miami Dolphins' fault for, you know, throwing him out there when he was concussed and, you know, basically neglecting him.
Yeah.
You know, that whole fiasco during a Thursday night football game, you know, and, you know, both quarterbacks are skilled. They have the Michael Penix.
I think Penix is better than Tua. I got to be honest with you. I think he's the better quarterback. I think he's got a better rapport with Drake London. I haven't been entirely sold on Michael Penix. There's somewhere, go get it type of routine. I'm not a Michael Penix guy. That said, is he better than Tua Tagovailoa? I think so. And I thought Tua Tagovailoa wasn't going to be good in the league, and he had a good year with Miami. His probation.
It's good to see that kind of spirit, and it's good to see that kind of spirit in Fangio. And to quote the article on NFL.com by Bobby Kaunak states, Fangio said during a Thursday news conference, "I've had those thoughts the last few years. Every year at the end of the year, I just think about it. I never really got serious to where I would have done it. It's no different than I did after the 24 season or the 23 season. I told the players the other day we had our annual physical. We get physicals as coaches. And the docs told me I was reverse aging with my lab work and everything else that came up. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say the guy's Superman, but, at the same time, I'm kind of glad he still has the spunk."
Yeah, I'm happy for him. It's good for him. I'm glad that he's doing so well for himself. But I mean, Vic Fangio, he's been around for a long time. He's been phenomenal as DC. I think he deserves to and I think he's capable, fully capable. He's earned the right to be in this league for as long as he wants. To be honest with you, the guy's tremendous. Next up, let's go ahead and talk about the Chargers. General Manager Joe Horowitz says the door isn't closed on bringing back Keenan Allen. What is the over/under on Keenan Allen returning to the LA Chargers this offseason?
At pretty good money that it's.
Rodgers has announced that 2026 will be his last year and he will retire after this season. So he will officially be done after this season. After the 2026 season. So, hey, thank God.
Hall of Famer. I hate to admit it, but I mean, Hall of Famer. I hate to admit it, but I mean, on the other hand, though, I mean, it's like he hasn't like picked up in my opinion, and again, opinions are like what, but in my opinion, Brett Favre is a better quarterback and more Hall of Fame material than Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do believe Aaron Rodgers deserves a bust.
Yeah,
can.
Yeah.
But and he is one of the greatest quarterbacks of our generation. We've seen him start after Favre retired. So now we're going to see this full circle.
Yep.
And I don't think the bad news, I think, is he's not going to win a Super Bowl.
No.
I'm sorry. I mean, not against this stacked. There are too many stacked teams in the AFC. He might make it to the AFC title game. That would be fun to see. I think that would make for some good TV. But at the end of the day, it's one last ride. And and he's doing it with Mike McCarthy. I think that's part of the reason. That's like, okay, I'm going to do this one more year. I had success with McCarthy before.
Yep.
Let's go out on a high note. Let's run it back. And then we'll all a lot of us will cheer that he's gone, and he's just not going to be this humongous pain in the ass that we've known him to be, but. What
is the fact that we never have to deal with Rodgers' watch ever again, because we have been dealing with this for 4 years now. It's been Rodgers' watch. It's been every single offseason for 4 years, whether it's ayahuasca retreats or darkness retreats, or is he going to sign, or isn't he going to sign, or is he going to the Jets, or is he going to the Steelers, or is he going to be released, or is he going to be traded? Is he going to request a trade? Oh my God, how's the Achilles? Is he throwing on the Achilles? Is he able to stand? Oh my goodness, look at him. It's like, who's he dating? Who's he married to? Like, just no more Rodgers watch. I'm done with Rodgers watch. Rodgers watch is over for me. Rodgers watch 2026 is the last Rodgers watch we are going to ever have to deal with. And I am so ecstatic about that. Like that is something I'm truly excited about moving forward. But Alex, that is our news around the league. And you have your 2026-27 season predictor. So you have predicted all of these standings for basically how you feel every team is going to finish throughout the regular season, division by division. So we'll start with the AFC North. We'll go right through. There you go. You've got that pulled up. So we'll start with the AFC North, and then we'll just jump right through the AFC. We'll go through the NFC, and then you can go ahead and march your way through your Super Bowl situation. And or your playoff situation, how the playoff seeding works out, and whatever the case, and we'll roll with it. But give me these divisional breakdowns. Give me the playoff breakdowns all the way into your Super Bowl champion.
So we're going to go ahead and start at the bottom of the barrel.
Okay.
So I've scrolled down here, and we're going to start with the NFC West. Okay, so I told you that I wasn't really kind with the Arizona Cardinals. But let's see here.
Oh, you weren't kind to anybody in that division. Holy guacamole.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I really got to. Okay, so I should probably look at this. I mean, it says NFL 26-27 season.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but this week, it's week one. I told them.
You were not kind to anybody in that division.
Okay. Well, yeah, so I said it was going to be fairly competitive, and it looks like the Arizona Cardinals will take the 4th seed in the NFC West. Sitting on the couch will be the Los Angeles Rams, 8-1. If we take a look at this, so, and one of the weird thing is the one tie is going to be week 4 against the Eagles.
Wow.
I mean, and I figured, okay, as I'm looking at this, it doesn't make sense.
It can make sense. It can make sense. That's the thing. It can make sense because, I mean, if you look at it, Buffalo, they could beat Buffalo. Buffalo, you look at, they could lose to Denver. They could tie with the Eagles. I could see that being a tie. But, if I'd be like, so I see you right now, you have them getting swept by Arizona. That's
special.
That is ballsy. Them getting swept by Arizona. That is ballsy. But the tie, and then the combination of the tie along with them getting swept by Arizona. And then if you look at it, they get beat by Seattle. I could see them getting beat by Seattle. If you look at it, I could see them getting beat by Tampa. They actually, believe it or not, have a tough schedule. I could see them splitting with Seattle. So here we are, this, looking at it, it doesn't entirely surprise me looking at it. So, like, seeing him go, and the tie, believe it or not, is what knocks the Rams out of the playoffs here. That and the fact that they got swept by Arizona, which is, wow.
I mean, again, you really have to take into consideration bye weeks. You have to take into consideration, jet lag for the Australia game.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm having them win against San Francisco. I think San Francisco is going to take a minute to. Okay, well, I got them going 4-13.
Yeah.
But I'm under the impression that San Francisco is going to take some time to find their legs, but they're really going to start winning. But then they run into a brick wall with Seattle. I mean, predictable. I had the Giants going over the 49ers early because it's just something about when that team gets clicking. When you got Jackson Dart and the human wrecking ball known as Cam Scatabo, and you got Malik Neighbors, if he can stay healthy, you know. And you know, I really think the Giants are going to have a better run than is anticipated. And you know, so in the interest, well, I mean, we got some time to deal around with. But third place in the NFC West, continuing. You know, we got the world champion Seattle Seahawks at 8-9. And I got the Niners going 4-13.
So here's the interesting thing about this division. The first thing is that it's a very strong division, and this, in spite of it being a very strong division, 3 teams missed the playoffs. Arizona, the team that wound up in dead last, makes the playoffs, which kind of tells me that A, new head coach matters, B, the situation, and that's the thing. Here's something that is interesting about what you have going on with Arizona. The teams they're beating versus the teams you have them actually losing to, like Jets, Saints, Raiders. Of all the teams that I could see them beating, Jets, Saints, and Raiders, I could actually see them beating. That there's a possibility there. I don't know that, but at the same time, the Saints are hot, right? They got hot last year at the end. So and then the Jets had a really good draft. It's interesting, but you might be onto something. So I'm not entirely mad at it, but Arizona winning the division is wild. The fact that two of the NFC title contenders are out of the playoffs, wild. Including one that is the world champion, Seattle Seahawks, out of the playoffs. Wild. That one took me by surprise. You're coming in hot here, man. I just like, holy smokes. But Eric,
3 times, I'm like, are you sure that's what I did? I know Denver didn't go 9-8.
Yeah,
I mean, I sworn they were going like, I had them going like 12-2 and 4, winning the division. But okay, anyway. So in the AFC West, you have the Kansas City Chiefs returning to the playoffs, getting the 4 seed in the AFC West division, outlasting the Denver Broncos, who also go 9-8. In third place, we got the Los Angeles Chargers, and then the Raiders do a pretty good job with their draft and go 7-10.
So the Raiders going 7-10 actually makes a lot of sense here. That's about where, if I was a betting man, I'd say they'd wind up based on their draft, like you said. But if you look at that, I'm like, okay, I can see them in that situation.
Couple of surprises. I mean, I'm thinking, okay, Miami's probably going to win their first game, probably because, well, Vegas will lose their first game. Probably they're trying to get their sea legs together.
Yeah.
Her Cousins is they still got to get the kinks worked out there. But once they get rolling by like week 3, I got them going over the Patriots in week 5. I got them going over the Jets in week 8. Beating the Cleveland Browns on the road on week 12, hosting and defeating their division rivals, Los Angeles Chargers, and upending the Arizona Cardinals late in the season.
Let me ask you, what is with all the Chargers hate on this show? I love the Chargers, and everybody, you and Boots just hate the Chargers. You guys hate them.
Hate the Chargers.
You guys hate the Chargers so bad. You got them missing the playoffs every year. Y'all got them missing the playoffs. Chargers 8-9.
Love. They go on a 4-1 tear in the first 5 weeks of the season. A 4-2 tear because they lose to Kansas City right before the bye week. But they have some rough road, and. Then late in the season, they gotta host Kansas City, and they gotta go to Denver.
Oh,
so it's like it's not gonna be easy sledding for them. I don't think it is. I mean, it's I mean, and obviously, again, this is way too early.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. So we'll have to see about that. So, okay. So we've got Actually, I'm okay. I'm going to click some buttons real quick. Well, no, it is this year.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So okay. So we got for the NFC North. So we got the NFC North. We have the Minnesota Vikings winning the division at 10-7.
Hey.
And the Bears right behind them at 9-8, and the Green Bay Packers at 9-8. So the Lions lose, are out of the playoffs 8-9, and they don't win a single division game.
Jesus.
I mean, I don't think that's right. I mean, I could have sworn I at least had them split with the Packers, split with Minnesota, but I digress. Maybe I had some second thoughts about this, but I have them losing the home opener against the Saints. Oof. Obviously, I got them going over the Bills.
Yeah, you gave them an upset. Gave an upset on Thursday Night Football there.
Yeah, in Buffalo.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I mean, that's kind of weird. Victories against Carolina and Arizona, and then of course they got to run through the gauntlet. The early division gauntlet. Obviously, they're going to beat Miami. I've got them beating the Patriots in Germany. I've got them, going up against, taking down the Buccaneers, and then losing to the Bears on Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. I think the Bears get their revenge. Then they lose to the Falcons, and then the Vikings again. They beat the Titans. And I think they're going to lose to the New York Football Giants on Monday Night Football.
Ooh, goodness.
Listen, they almost lost to Jameis Winston, okay, who pirouetted into the end zone after Derek Barnes completely flopped on a tackle and allowed him to get into a touchdown. And they beat the Giants barely last year. So this year, I think they have Jackson Dart, they got Cam Scatabo, they got all that talent on the defense. I think the Giants might beat the Lions this year.
Oh boy.
So then, and then obviously you got the division coming out. I know for a fact now that something is horribly wrong. I've sworn. I don't know. There's no way in heck that I had the Miami.
This is how you marked it, buddy.
I have to go back over it, but yeah, the Dolphins go 9-8, win the AFC East.
Oh goodness!
The Patriots and the New England Patriots are 9-8. They're the 6th seed. The New York Football Jets go 8-9, and the Buffalo Bills are last at 7-10.
Oh, how the mighty fall!
Yeah, and it's a 1-5 divisional record. It's just brutal.
Sure, this isn't Boots' playoff predictor because man, he's gonna be hype about Malik Willis taking a division here.
Oh, so I mean, I am really going to have to look back over this and figure out what's going on. But I mean, if we take a look at things at face value here, I could see. I can't see them winning against Buffalo in the cold. There has to be something going on.
Well,
I can see him beating Buffalo and Miami.
But you had him beat Buffalo and Miami. You had him beat them. But you had them beat New England in Week 18, and there might be reason for that as well. Beating
maybe because it might be starters versus starters. It might be backups versus backups at that point.
Who knows? I mean, it might be tight. You probably were thinking backups versus backups without realizing how tight the actual record was because they're both 9-8. I mean, everything was on the line.
Yeah, so it's exciting to think about. They get wins, predictably over the Jets. Weirdly they beat the Bears in Week 14. It's kind of fun to think about. So now we get to the NFC South, and And we get to the 2 seed. The 2 seed goes to the Atlanta Falcons, who go 11-6. And ironically enough, they have a 3-3 division record. They split the division. The Carolina Panthers go 8-9, and with a 4-2 division record. So, I mean, wins count.
Yeah.
And then Tampa Bay in 3rd place, 8-9 with 2-4 in the division. And then 7-10 New Orleans Saints, who go 3-3 in the division as well.
So for the first time in like 4 years, we finally don't go to week 18 to get freaking
the NFC South.
Yeah.
Right, because I mean, the last several years, I mean, what has it been? It's been like, okay, Tampa Bay has to win and Carolina has to lose, or all this crazy stuff. And it's like the worst division in football. But somebody's got to win the crown. Somebody's got to go to the playoffs. Let's take a look at this Falcons schedule. I got them going on the road, beating the Steelers in week 1. Then losing to Carolina, then picking up wins over the Packers and the Saints. Now here's the weird one. They're going to a week 5 win over the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah. I mean, and that wouldn't fully surprise me though, with how the Ravens kind of struggled against teams that they had no business struggling against last year.
Right, but you have to also think last year. I mean, last year they had one of the more brutal schedules in the NFL.
Fair,
and they went 1-5, and they lost Lamar halfway through that stretch.
Yep.
But then they roared back. But it all came down to a field goal, and it all came down to wide right.
Yep.
So, look at some other notable victories. They go and get one over the Niners. They get a victory over the Kansas City Chiefs in week 10. Beat the Lions on week 13. They upend the Cleveland Browns. They have a loss against the Washington Commanders. And then they go on a 2-1 streak to end the season. They end up getting swept by Carolina.
Yeah, and that week 18 game at that point, that week 18 game doesn't even matter, because at that stage they would be 10-6. They already won the division. Carolina would be 7-9 at that point. So yeah, they get swept by Carolina, but that last week 18 game, they're probably sitting starters, right? So
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they're putting in backups at that point because they just got to get ready for the playoffs. And in the AFC South, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking the division at 10-7 with a 3-3 divisional record. We got the Tennessee Titans going 8-9. With a 4-2 divisional record. We got the Indianapolis Colts going 8-9 with a 2-4 divisional record. And we have the Houston Texans going 7-10 with a 3-3 divisional record.
That defense did not do anything for the Texans in this situation.
Yeah, I guess so. Let's take a look at that Texans schedule. I mean, they opened the season against Buffalo.
Yeah.
You recall that last year, when Houston hosted Buffalo, they beat the Buffalo Bills. Mm-hmm. But this is Josh Allen fresh, so you have to take that into consideration. They got wins over Cincinnati and Indianapolis. They beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in at Wembley Stadium. They got a victory over the Los Angeles Chargers. They struggle a little bit. They go on a 3-game skid in week 11, 12, 13. Then they get back to form. And then they, since they already clinched the division, early. Well, actually, it's kind of weird.
Well, they didn't clinch.
They lose 3 in a row on the end of the season. So yeah, that's how they kind of tumble down in the last place there.
Yeah, I was going to say they had an opportunity to take the division if they kept up with the Jags there. I mean, if they don't lose those last 3, because they would have been neck and neck with the Jags. But if they don't lose the last 3, completely different animal, right?
Right. Team matchup against the Indianapolis Colts.
Goodness.
So. I mean, it's like the AFC South's limping to the finish line.
Yep.
Okay. And now we get to the big dogs. First of all, in the NFC East, The Philadelphia Eagles return to the 1 seed with 11-5-1 record. And the New York Football Giants make it back to the playoffs at 9-8 with a 2-4 division record. And right behind them are the Dallas Cowboys, who go 8-9 with a 3-3 divisional record. And just think, what's that Week 18 matchup against? So I'll tell you what. Week 17 is the matchup between the Cowboys and the Giants. Mm-hmm. So I would think that would be a pivotal matchup. And then, Dallas goes 8-9, 3-3, and Washington Commanders go 7-10 with a 2-4 record.
I actually think that is on the nose. I think that's exactly how this thing's going to go. I think Dallas is about in that middle of the road purgatory where they're narrowly missing playoffs, narrowly missing 500. I think that's where Dallas is, and that's kind of where they're going to stay put. But I'm with you. I think Eagles take this division. I don't think there's anybody that's able to challenge them, really. Washington, even though they have Jaden Daniels and company, and they just changed out their offensive coordinator and so on and so forth, their defense isn't strong enough in Washington to handle the power of the Eagles offense at this stage and everything. And that Eagles defense is just too damn good. And then you look at what the Giants have. John Harbaugh is going to get the Giants rolling, and he's gonna. And that Giants defense is going to be very much improved, especially in the front seven. And I think this is going to help Jackson Dart a lot. And you're going to see a lot more Jackson Dart. You're going to see a lot more Malik Neighbors. You're going to see a lot more Cam Scatteraboo. You're going to see a lot more run-heavy schemes. Tyrone Tracy's going to get going a little bit. They did a really good job in the draft this year. They did a really good job fixing that defense and fixing that offensive line. Remember, they got Tavondre Sweat up the middle now. They did some work. Actually, was it them that got Tavondre Sweat? No, that was the Jets. Never mind. I'm thinking the other New York team. But they got some weapons in that front seven. So if you look at it realistically, I think the New York Giants are going to be excellent this year. And it wouldn't surprise me if they improve on what they did last year and they wind up in that 9-8 realm. If they wind up with the 6th seed, I think that's about right. They're going to improve, not a ton, but they're going to improve. And then the following year, when you get to 2027, as long as they handle business correctly off the field, we're going to be having a different conversation about the New York Giants possibly being the team to beat in that division.
Absolutely. Then we get to the last of the divisions, the AFC North. The Baltimore Ravens return to the number 1 seed at 12-5 with a perfect division record. The Cincinnati Bengals of all teams. I mean, the AFC North is the most hotly contested division in football, with all 3 teams, getting at least 8 wins. All 4 teams getting at least 8 wins, and Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, kind of jockeying for the 7th seed, and Cincinnati barely gets it with a 2-4 division record. But Pittsburgh falls to the 3 seed, the 3rd place, and the 8th seed at 9-8 with a 1-5 division record, ironically. And then rounding out the back, the 8-9 Cleveland Browns with a 3-3 division record. So for Aaron Rodgers' last rodeo, I have them beating the Patriots. They beat the Bengals, which is their only division win. But then they run into the Cleveland Browns. They get a victory over. It's very half and half here.
Yeah,
I mean, they get a win here, a loss here, a win here, a loss there. And then they start picking up a little bit of steam. Beating teams that you really think they didn't have any business beating. Aaron Rodgers beats the Eagles. Aaron Rodgers beats the Denver Broncos. Aaron Rodgers beats the Houston Texans. Then they get the Jaguars, and then they just go on a bit of a skid. And in a rematch in Week 18, Baltimore picks up the Duke.
Wow,
it's like. Yeah, and I have to wonder if Chris Boswell is going to be the one to do wide right this year.
And with that, because of that loss, Baltimore puts Aaron Rodgers out to pasture. I mean, that's goodness.
Wouldn't that be poetic justice?
My gosh.
just irony.
Yeah.
It's like, Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers get into the playoffs by the hair of their chinny chin chins, and they lose.
Yeah.
The hair on their chinny chin chins the next year. So with that, the playoff picture is set. No, I know for a fact I did this the other day.
Well, yep. So it'll make you go. It's going to make you go back through it to select your playoff teams, which is fine. You can go through and select your playoff teams as we go.
Yep.
But let's go ahead and jump into your playoff team. So in your wild card round, obviously, you've got Chiefs in Denver, Miami, New England, Arizona, Chicago, Minnesota, New York, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Cincinnati Bengals, and then the Atlanta Falcons, Green Bay Packers. So Chiefs in Denver, who do you got first?
So something, and I'm doing this because I'm curious to see what Justin Jolie can bring to the table. That's right, hashtag Jolie watch. That's a watch you want to get behind.
Yeah.
You want to get excited about a player watch. Justin Jolie is it. He's really starting to emerge in camp. They're really starting to see what he's capable of with his hands and everything. I'm very excited to see what they do for him. They're making him like a secret chess piece, is what I've heard.
That's what he's going to be.
And Rob, his father, Rob Jolie, has been sending me, articles and podcasts and stuff, and I've been catching up with it. So I'm going to put Denver over Kansas City.
There you go.
And because it's a statement game.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bo Nix, and you're going to Arrowhead, and the Chiefs are kind of recovering from their, Patrick Mahomes ACL hangover.
Yeah.
And, maybe the Chiefs do the dumb thing and start Patrick Mahomes because, Boots was sitting here going, DDT, don't do that.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to bite him in the ass. So I kind of find it ironic that the Miami Dolphins are the 3 seed and the New England Patriots are the 6 seed. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm gonna lay it with Mike Vrabel's gonna pull his head out of okay, I'm gonna say his own ass.
No, he's gonna pull his head out of Diana Rossini's ass. Let's be real about it. And Alex is like, yeah, Mike, pull your head out of there and make room for me. Okay.
You are in oh my God.
I'm going to hell.
To the face.
I'm going to hell. I'm just.
New England makes it to the divisional round. They got a date with Baltimore.
Okay.
The question now is, what's Denver going to do? Are they going to travel to Jacksonville, or are they going to host Cincinnati? And I got to tell you, they're going to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty obvious. At this point, the fact that Cincinnati's in the playoffs in the first place is kind of wild, but you never know.
Yeah.
Will Joe Burrow remain healthy this season?
And
that's what we have to ask ourselves.
Will Joe Burrow be able to do it all on his own? Because, realistically, we've talked about it. That defense is just bad. It's just bad defense. And it's great you got Dexter Lawrence. It's great that you've got yourself some edge rushers now. It's great, and they've worked on their defense a little bit, but it hasn't been as good as it should be.
They just still have Trey Hendrickson for crying out loud.
They don't even have Trey Hendrickson anymore. He left town and he went to Baltimore. So So now here we are, and is Joe Burrow going to be able to handle it on his own? That's going to be the question of the day. And there you go. So I think you're sitting here, you're in a situation where you got Jacksonville, New England, Denver. I think you're absolutely right with these 3. I think the first round bounce for Cincinnati makes sense. First round bounce for Miami makes sense. First round bounce for Kansas City with Mahomes coming off the injury makes sense. And you really had Mahomes narrowly making the playoffs anyway. I think it's a first round bounce for him. Jumping into the NFC.
So we're going to go ahead and start with the Atlanta Falcons hosting the Green Bay Packers. And something, we've always said that the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love, for some reason, when it's December and when it's January, he's able to turn it on. And we saw it with Dallas a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers kicked the Dallas Cowboys, the 2 seed, to the curb. So they're going to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
The Green Bay Packers are going to figure out how to get around the Atlanta Falcons. I think the clock strikes midnight in Atlanta. I think Michael Penix turns into a pumpkin. I think Tua turns into a pumpkin, quite literally. He'll be a smashing pumpkin.
Yeah.
And so then you got your divisional matchup set. They're going to go to Philly. But at this point, who is on the other side? So you got Arizona and Chicago. Honestly, when I did my first one, I had Chicago, winning the number 1 seed.
Mm.
So and kind of in that same vein, they're going to get past the Arizona Cardinals here.
That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me.
They have the longevity. They've got the cardiac comeback ability with Caleb Williams. That kid, listen, I said it to you when during that Rams game. Caleb Williams can turn it on when he needs to.
He can.
You need it. He's a dog, an absolute dog.
It's the cardiac bears.
Yeah, cardiac bears.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of torn on this next matchup, the Vikings and the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Giants still have to, all right. My brain wants to pick Minnesota. My heart wants to pick the Giants. And the only reason I'm thinking about picking the Giants, not just to spite your Vikings, but because you got John Harbaugh, you got Jackson Dart, you got Cam Scatabo, you got Malik Neighbors. And if you keep him healthy, it's really, but I think, honestly, we're going to have an NFC North divisional round.
Mm.
It's going to be Vikings, Bears, and Minnesota's hosting.
Yep.
So that'll be a big to-do in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
So now the divisional round is set. Let's do the AFC side first. So we got Jacksonville and we got Denver. I got to be honest with you. I don't see Jacksonville making it to, I don't see them making it to the 2 seed. I mean, I don't see what Trevor Lawrence has compared to the other teams in the AFC South.
In this situation, the schedule, sometimes it just falls how it falls.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, like a team we saw it last year with, for example, San Francisco. San Francisco made the playoffs last year and they had an early exit, but San Francisco also had one of the easiest schedules in football. So it happens like that sometimes. San Francisco was really high up, but they had an early exit. That's why. We've seen it with the Lions in the past. Lions, super easy schedule, took on a bunch of dump teams, went in the first round, wild card round, get eliminated by the Saints, right? We've seen that happen. So here we are, and we're looking at a very similar situation with Jacksonville and Denver because they just won first place in their division. They're taking on a tough schedule. So them winding up in the 5 seed doesn't necessarily surprise me because when you're a good team and when you're sitting on top of the division, a lot of times you end up with a harder schedule than what you would wind up with if you were the last place team. For example, Detroit this upcoming year is going to wind up with, I think it's like the 6th easiest schedule or something like that. So there are, teams are going to wind up having easier schedules as they wind up placing lower in their division. So in this particular case, does not surprise me that Jacksonville is the 2 seed at this current point.
And, and given that fact and given the fact that, Denver's learned and that they had an absolute barn burner against Buffalo in the divisional round last year with one of the most controversial non-catch calls we've ever seen. I mean, Buffalo got hosed. But when it mattered, when they needed it, Denver was able to pull the trigger and get themselves to the AFC title game. And really, if Bo Nix doesn't get hurt in that game, Denver goes to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because the New England Patriots could not handle that blizzard that blizzard environment. And speaking of the Patriots, we're going to have Baltimore go over them because honestly, this is one of those times where it's like, okay, you got Jesse Minter, you got something to prove.
Yep.
And it's, Lamar. Listen, if it's not this year, when?
Yep.
When? It's like Baltimore fans have probably been, screeching that question for years. It's like Lamar is one of the best players in football. He just can't get to the big games. He can't get to the Super Bowl. So, moving on to the NFC side of the divisional round. It's a hard-fought fight between the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles, but I'm going to give the Eagles the dub. They are going to host the NFC Championship game for the second time in 2 years. And as far as the fight between Chicago and Minnesota, it's going to be a knockdown, drag-out affair. If Kyler Murray can really rally behind this team, they got a shot. But I really think that the Chicago Bears have what it takes to get to the title game. They barely missed the title game last year.
Right.
So, we're basically having a 1 seed and a 5 seed in each conference champion. I'll tell you what, something just tells me that if Lamar can't do it, if he wasn't able to do it in years past, to the Super Bowl, I just thought about it, but at the end of the day, I'm like, come on, Lamar has to take this chance. If not now, when?
Right.
And now when it comes to Chicago and Philadelphia, I have a much easier time choosing Chicago because a ham sandwich Jalen Hurts.
Wow.
Everybody in sports business going, oh God, you're throwing all this shade at Jalen. I don't think it's entirely Jalen's fault. I think Jalen Hurts is a tremendous football player. I don't really think it's his fault. If anything, it's going to come down to a miscommunication between Jalen Hurts and his receivers. I think AJ Brown is a major liability on the wide receiver room. Devontae Smith's a great receiver. He's a wide receiver too, solid wide receiver too, arguably a 1B. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, if you're not in sync, if you are not in sync with your top receiver, if Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown are on opposite sides of the spectrum, the Bears are going to tear them apart.
Yeah,
when it matters.
Yeah.
So that's my theory. So here we go. We got the Super Bowl between the Baltimore Ravens and the Chicago Bears. So, something? Mm-hmm. I just don't see Lamar doing it. I'm sorry, Tyler.
Oh,
be it. Your 2027 Super Bowl champions will in fact be the 5 seed Chicago Bears.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
What do you think? It's a little out there. Even for me, I have to admit. It's first of all, I think Chicago might make 2 seed, but at the same time, I'm like, man, it's just something about Baltimore and something about Lamar Jackson. I just can't see him getting over the hump. What say you?
I struggle with Lamar getting over the hump. I would have taken Denver over Baltimore. With actually, honestly, Denver going over Chicago. But here's my thing. I think Baltimore's still got some problems over there. I'm with you. Jesse Minter is going to be. It's a change of scenery. Obviously, it's going to be the coaching change is going to be interesting. But I think that could be as helpful as it could be detrimental to that team. You don't know what they're gonna what's going to happen with that coaching staff, how they're going to turn things around. Is it going to be a year 1 turnaround all the way to the Super Bowl? Is it going to be a situation where they're kind of experiencing some growing pains. You know, there were some problems on the defensive side of the ball when it came to Baltimore. They're going to have to deal with some personnel changes, so on and so forth. So I don't know that I'd have Baltimore going all the way to the bowl. I'd probably have Denver beating them, but I could see Baltimore, you know, kind of making a return to the playoffs because they do have enough playmakers. They still do have King Henry over there. They still have Lamar over there. They still have Zay Flowers over there. They just picked up Elijah Surratt, who we love over there, right? They've got players over there that we really like. You know, so there are players that could be really great for Baltimore. But Chicago going all the way to the promised land in Ben Johnson's second year, not out of the realm of possibility, ballsy as hell. You know, definitely not out of the realm of possibility.
I will tell you this. When I was doing the playoff predictor last night, I had Denver and Chicago, their respective number one seeds. They did go to the Super Bowl, and I think the Bears still took it all.
Yeah.
I seriously think the Bears still took it all.
You love the Bears this year.
I mean, I honestly believe that they're the best team in the NFC North.
Wow.
And it's a lot. A lot has to do with what I saw out of Caleb Williams last year. You know, their ability to come back in the fourth quarter. And, you know, Caleb Williams is really starting to mature as a player.
Right.
You know, and plus, you know, they did all the off-season moves. You know, they've done so well in the draft. You know, I really think the Chicago Bears have, you know, they are the most dangerous team in the NFC North. They're definitely the most coherent.
Right. Right. I mean, they definitely could wind up being, you know, the top team in the NFC North. But that is Alex's season playoff predictor with the Chicago Bears ending up as Alex's Super Bowl champion. And with that, folks, that is our show. We're rocking right through season predictors. Next week, I will be giving you my season predictor. Is where it will go. I will be giving you my season predictor for the 2026-27 season. So I'll be jumping in. You're gonna see my stuff, which will be a good time. Hopefully we'll be joined by the Bootleg Better. And then the following week we'll have Boots' season predictor, and then we'll do the show season predictor for all of us, so we can all jump in and crown our show champion. Then we're going to be talking about way too early 2027 draft prospects. We're going to be talking about guys that we feel you should be watching for the 2027 NFL draft. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit as well. So we got stuff going on. We're going to still be talking about the news around the league. Lots happening. But before we get out of here, let's go ahead and have a quick talk about It's Your Time Massage. Amanda's a wonderful massage therapist. She does excellent work. She's a wonderful, wonderful human being as well. She does Swedish and deep tissue massages. If you're looking for a great massage in the Metro Detroit area, you got to check out It's Your Time Massage. You can find her on Facebook at It's Your Time Massage LLC on Facebook, or you can find it at iytmassage.com. She does Swedish massages, deep tissue massages for a little bit extra. You can get CBD oil. You can get red light therapy. You can get foot sugar scrubs. You can get all this good stuff for just a little bit extra. You can get all that stuff. So check it out, iytmassage.com. Or you can find her at It's Your Time Massage LLC on Facebook. Book yourself an appointment. And remember, folks, it's your time. Also, let's talk about the artist formerly known as Big Willie Dubs Gaming, now known as No Shot Bot TTV. Will is an excellent content creator. He does awesome stuff with the first-person shooters. You can find him on Kick, Twitch, Facebook. You can find him over there on the TikTok.
The TikTok.
It's my old man moment for the day, the TikTok. But you can check him out on all those platforms. Will is awesome, very entertaining guy. He also does other stuff throughout his channel, eating, gross jelly beans and playing that game. And I can't get over how fun that one was because I got to sit in on him with it. I ate a gross jelly bean once. It tasted like a booger. It was not fun. He also threatened to shave his beard off to harass his wife one time, or, every now and then he does things like the Hot Ones Challenge, which I would love to join him for. But it's a very entertaining channel, No Shot Bot TTV. I highly recommend it. It's good stuff. Alex, what you got?
So, No Shotbot TTV has 986 followers. Yes, this recording, he is 14 away from 1,000. Come on, guys, do what you got to do and drop kick that follow button. And as far as Twitch channels follow, hey, do you like video games? Do you like theater? Do you like theater, rather? The Steele Twins gaming may just be what you're looking for. Whether it's the good old first-person shooter, RPG, or your favorite story-based adventures, we think we have something for just about everyone. We've got everything you need to satisfy your digital cravings, whatever they may be. And best of all, our channel has something nobody else has: voice acting. Every week, my brother and I will play a game that has a lot of text-based dialogue, and we will act it out with the voices that come up in our heads for the characters you see on screen. Sometimes we do our best to highlight the drama of the situation. Other times, just goof off to have. We're sure you'll actually be making my way to the Traverse City Comic-Con, the Cherry Capital Comic-Con, C4, at the Grand Traverse Lodge and the Grand Traverse Resort. I call it the Lodge, same difference. And follow us on Twitter at SteelTwinsAlex to keep up to date on our shenanigans. And don't forget the brother channel, Steele Twins Andy. It is there. You'll get your full fix of Nostalgic Mondays, Nintendo Tuesdays, FPS Wednesdays, me with the special guest, Indie Thursdays, and Open World Fridays. I'm also picking up on Diablo on Thursdays myself, and on Tuesdays I'm starting to get into Dead by Daylight. So the summer schedule is looking to heat up.
From the perspective of our very own Tammy Pruitt, a registered dietitian, she's got a degree in science, Alex. Science. Thank you. It combines her real-life experiences with professional advice, and it aims to help the readers who struggle with similar issues to find self-acceptance and overcome that love, and it incorporates faith-based perspectives. She is awesome at what she does. It's a tremendous book. It's an excellent read. I highly recommend it. And look, she's not your typical health guru, right? Even though she does write a friend you never had. This book reads like a conversation, but not a boring one. It's a great, great book. I highly recommend you check it out. And you can find out just sent to you that Wild Week in the NFL. Thank you so much for your service, everything that you guys do for us. We appreciate that. And everything that you give for us to have the rights to be able to have the free speech to do this type of stuff. So we appreciate you. And to all of the fallen soldiers out there, we appreciate your sacrifice. Thank you so much. Folks, thank you so much for listening, and happy Memorial Day. And we will see you next time right here on the Outside Blitz.
Bet you'll watch us again. And with that, Hal, we're gone. Clear